Don't worry, I did not go blank. It was planned. Because today I want to talk to you about dialogue. Although it's a bit ironic to be talking about dialogue while doing a monologue. But I still haven't figured out how to do a TED Talk while dialoguing, so I'll have to leave that one for the next time. So today I'm going to talk to you about dialogue, and that's why I started with a silence, because dialogue starts or grows out of silence. Dialogue starts by looking at the people that we have in front of us and trying to understand what is it that they're already sharing without speaking. I started my professional journey with deep concern. I had spent my years in college divided into two worlds. I spent mornings surrounded by business students at a business school where their main concern was to make as much money as possible by the time they would turn 30 or 40. And I would spend afternoons in the Faculty of Philosophy surrounded by classmates who would engage in endless conversations on how to make the world a better place, how to make it more just, how to make it more livable. So by the time I graduated, I had something very clear. There was something that had to be done, or I desperately wanted to do something about it. Because those classmates that were doing their studies in management were the ones who would have power in the future, were the ones who would actually have the chance to decide what the world would look like in the future. And back then, the only thing they had in mind was to make money. Whereas my classmates in philosophy, they did have great ideas on how to make the world a better place, but I somehow knew that they would never have the power to make that real. So then my idea was, okay, so what if I tried to bring philosophy and the concern for the society and for justice to management schools, to raise that awareness among people who would have power in the future. So that's how I started working on corporate social responsibility, business ethics, teaching, doing research, and also consulting with companies, with governments. And I spent a few years preaching this idea that you all know, which is that responsible management is a management that incorporates the concern for all stakeholders. So responsible management is not only answering to our shareholders, but it is trying to understand what is it that our stakeholders need, expect, what are their interests, and that implies necessarily engaging in real dialogue with them. So I was preaching that for a while, and then after a while I thought, well, this isn't working. I mean, people seem to agree with the idea, but the truth is that when they have to put it into practice, they're actually not doing it. And then I suddenly had the breakthrough, and it was like, yeah, of course they're not doing it, because they don't know how to dialogue. And let's be honest, do you think we know how to dialogue? Politicians enter a TV set having a certain idea and leave the TV set thinking exactly the same. They enter the TV set as a gladiator that is about to win a battle against an opponent that is there at the TV set. And it's the same for people who are in roundtables, talk shows. All of them engage verbally, not trying to understand what the others are about to say, not trying to learn and to grow from what the others are saying, but in order to win a battle. And that's actually the kind of message that we're told all the time. We live in a competitive society. life is a zero-sum up game, and like you win or you lose, and you have to go about fighting. And you compete with your business, but you also compete individually when you engage with someone. Because you have to show the world that you're smart and that you can convince others. Well, that, which is a debate mentality, is exactly the opposite of what dialogue is. So at the end of the day, if our role models today are the people that we see on TV, we're not having role models on how to dialogue. So then my idea was, okay, if I want to make future managers more responsible, I will have to help them relearn how to dialogue. Because I think that it's not that we never knew how to, it's that we have forgotten. We've lost the habit on how to. So then the question obviously was, yeah, great, you have to teach how to dialogue, but the question is, how, right? Because, yeah, great, sounds great, but how? Like, if no one is teaching us? And then I remembered about this guy that I used to read a lot about. You know him. He was called the father of philosophy, Socrates. Well, Socrates spent all his life walking around and engaging in dialogue with the citizens from Athens. So much so that when he was sent to trial accused of trying to pervert the minds of young people, and he was given the chance to save his life, if he stopped dialoguing, he said, no, guys, I'd rather die than stop dialoguing, than stop engaging with others in dialogue. So I thought, he's our guy. We need to reread, relearn or listen to his messages. And one of his main messages is that all of us, we know more than we know. Meaning, the society has made us believe that we're almost like empty recipients that need to be told, that need to be fed on what we have to learn, we have to do, etc. Well, Socrates saw us, or saw the human being, as I would say almost the opposite. All of us here have a great, amazing knowledge inside of us. The thing is that we need others to help us give birth to that knowledge, unravel those ideas that we have inside of us. So in that sense, if we want a dialogue, we will have to see the other as somebody who has that potential in them, and dialogue will be about collaborating. It'll be about teamwork. It'll be about helping each other to give birth to those ideas, to that knowledge that we have without knowing. So first of all, talking about the how, first thing we have to bear in mind is we have that knowledge inside, and we're not going to compete to become aware of that knowledge. We have to collaborate, and we're going to help each other to become more aware of that knowledge. But there's also another thing that is very important, and it is about changing our mindset. For example, we all have this tendency to judge whatever is being said by others. Like, I know you're all judging me. It's fine, I know that, because we all judge each other all the time. Well, if we want to dialogue, we will have to stop judging others, and we will have to start really paying attention to what is being said and feeling compelled to help the other build their own ideas that are there, latent, ready to be born. So that's going to be very important. But it's also going to be important to connect to that genuine curiosity that we used to have when we were 2 or 3, when we kept asking why all the time, no? And our parents were like, yeah, stop it. So go back to that moment where we had that genuine curiosity, and when we were like Alice in Wonderland, and the world was full of wonder. So that's how we should relate to others, by connecting to our genuine curiosity, because we all have that. And also another tricky thing is that we will have to stop reacting to what others say as if it was a threat. Because remember, if others are a collaborator, someone who can help us unravel our ideas, whatever that the other is going to say, even if that is making us wrong or making obvious that what we just said is silly, instead of taking that as a threat, we have to see that that is a tool that will help us, let's say, uncover all the layers of our knowledge and get rid of the first layers that are usually formed by prejudices. So in that sense, whenever someone says something that initially makes us feel bad, let's think about it. That can be a tool that can help us. And also, let's be flexible, because we have this tendency to attach to our ideas as if without them we were nothing. Well, ideas don't belong to anybody. And what is interesting is to improve and make them more sophisticated. And also, it is important what I told you at the beginning. To deal with silence without going crazy, because we have time. If we want a dialogue, there's no rush. We have to breathe, and we have to be comfortable with silence. But you know what? Actually, dialogue is about practicing. So I can tell you 1,000 ideas, but what is more important is that you start to practice. And start to practice, and that I would say is relevant, and that needs to be said. Start to practice having something very important in mind and in your body, which is, if you want a dialogue, you have to trust. The reason why we're not being able to dialogue today is because we don't trust each other. That's why we judge, that's why we react, because we're trained to debate, we're trained to fight, and we see others as a threat. Well, if we want a dialogue, the basis, what we need to do whatsoever, otherwise it's not going to happen, is trust others. And of course it takes courage, because dialoguing means opening up, means sharing your ideas and sharing your feelings. And we don't know what the other is going to do with our thoughts and with our feelings. But if we want a dialogue, we'll have to admit and have that leap of faith, because otherwise it's not going to happen. And then you might say, yeah, but come on, I mean, I'm fine the way I am. Why should I need to open up and then expose myself to the threat of others? I'm fine, I'm comfortable, I don't need to open up, I don't need to dialogue, Well, I'll give you 2 reasons why it does make sense to dialogue. The first one is social. Socrates used to say that evil always comes out of ignorance. And I would like to qualify that idea. To me, evil comes out of ignorance of the other. If we're trained to debate, which means if we're trained to fight, we're not being able to see the other. We're not being able to understand what is it that the other is feeling, experiencing, because we're about to fight. Now, if we start to open up and see the other as a person, complex, with feelings and with everything, it'll be much harder for us to hurt, to do evil, because we're going to be able to put ourselves in their shoes and then understand or feel the harm that we're about to provoke. And that, at least, it's going to reduce a little bit the evil that is caused in the world. I've seen that in jail. I've been for the last years practicing dialogue in jail. You cannot imagine how tough inmates are in terms of dialoguing, because they don't trust anybody. And they admit along the way that they haven't been able to dialogue because they don't trust anybody, but because they grew up in environments where there was no trust, where nobody trusted them, and when very young, they learned that they couldn't trust anybody. Well, once they understand, while dialoguing with law students and with other groups, that by opening up and engaging in dialogue and by trusting, they regain hope in the world and they understand the harm that they created, that creates a mental and emotional shift. So why to engage in dialogue? Because if we are concerned about the future of the world and we want to reduce evil, dialogue is a powerful tool to reduce evil. But I'm also going to give you a personal, a more individual reason. I guess you all want to be happy, right? Well, Aristotle used to say that happiness means or is flourishing, meaning a happy person is a person that has been able to flourish, to develop all the potential that they have inside of them. Well, if our life is about competing, about debating, we will not have the time and space to grow the potential that we have in ourselves. And therefore, according to Aristotle, we will never be able to be happy. Hannah Arendt, the German philosopher, she had this beautiful metaphor. She said, every time a baby is born in the world, there's hope that a new world is going to grow. So the idea is that not only that baby is born in a world that is new to them, but that those babies have the potential to build a new world. Now, those babies are only going to have the potential, the possibility to build that new world if we give them the chance, if we give them the space and the time. If instead of growing, competing, and in a constant battle, they have the chance to engage in dialogue with each other, and they can see others and trust others as people who are going to help them to grow that new world that they have in them. And before I leave, I want to share a secret with you. Every day, when you wake up in the morning, you are that newborn. You are that newborn that is born in a world that is new to them. And you are that newborn who has the power to choose whether you want to trust, to develop, and help others develop, and therefore make the world something new, make the world a better place.